Hello, everyone. We all know what it feels like to be disrespected. Whether it's a harsh comment, a dismissal of our ideas, or even someone ignoring our boundaries, disrespect can leave us feeling hurt, small, and undervalued. But here's the truth. How others treat us says more about them than it does about us. Our worth isn't defined by others' behavior. It's defined by the way we show up in the world and the respect we give ourselves. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect and personal growth that we can engage in. But let's be real, it's not always easy. There's this common misconception that setting boundaries means you're being rude, selfish, or unkind. But in reality, boundaries are an essential act of self-care and self-protection. They are not about rejecting others. They're about preserving your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Setting boundaries is an act of courage because it requires us to be vulnerable. It means we have to stand firm in our needs and desires and communicate them clearly, even when we're unsure of how others will react. It's much easier to avoid conflict, to go along with others' demands, or to let our boundaries be crossed just to keep the peace. But peace that costs us our sense of self-worth isn't real peace. It's a facade. True peace comes from knowing who you are, what you need, and being unafraid to communicate that with others. The importance of boundaries. At its core, a boundary is simply a line you draw that says, this is where I stop and where you begin. Think about it like this. Imagine you're in a garden. Your garden is your life, your thoughts, your time, your energy, your emotions. Everything within that space is yours. You decide how to cultivate it, what to plant, and what to keep. Boundaries are the walls that protect that space from being trampled by others. They keep out the weeds of negativity, disrespect, and toxicity. Without them, your garden would be exposed to every passerby's actions, leaving it vulnerable to being overtaken. And here's the thing, you are the gardener. You get to decide what stays and what goes in your garden. When we set boundaries, we're saying, this is my space. I am worthy of peace, and I will not allow anyone to trample on my well-being. The courage to speak up. Setting boundaries requires courage because it asks us to step into discomfort. We might feel afraid of what others will think. We might fear rejection, judgment, or confrontation. But here's the secret. While those feelings are natural, they're not as powerful as the need to protect your peace. Think of it this way. Every time you choose to communicate your needs with clarity, you are reinforcing your belief that you are worthy of respect. When you're able to articulate what you need from someone, even when it's difficult or awkward, you're showing that your needs matter. The more you practice setting boundaries, the more empowered you become. It's okay to feel afraid or uncertain. In fact, that's often the moment when we're about to do something truly transformative. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling that fear and moving forward anyway. It's knowing that your voice matters, that your peace matters, and that you're willing to stand firm for what's best for you, even when it feels hard. Boundary setting isn't always about saying no. A lot of people think that setting boundaries is all about saying no, but boundaries are also about saying yes. Yes to yourself. Yes to your needs. Yes to your emotional and mental health. By setting boundaries, you're creating a space where you can say yes to what nourishes you and no to what drains you. It's about balance. When we set boundaries, we are also giving ourselves permission to say yes to what really matters in our lives. By saying no to toxic people, behaviors, or situations, we create space for the people, experiences, and opportunities that support our growth. The beauty of boundaries is that they help us decide who we want to become rather than letting external factors dictate that for us. The impact of setting boundaries on relationships. Some might argue that setting boundaries will push people away or damage relationships, but the opposite is true. Clear and respectful boundaries actually strengthen relationships because they create mutual understanding. Healthy relationships are built on trust and respect, and part of that respect is acknowledging that everyone has their limits. When we communicate our boundaries, we teach others how to treat us. And in return, we learn how to respect others' boundaries. It's a reciprocal process that creates a foundation for more genuine, supportive connections. People who truly respect you will understand your boundaries and will appreciate that you've communicated them. They'll see it as a sign of your self-respect, and they'll be more likely to respect you in return. Potentially life-changing, whatever it is. On the other hand, if someone consistently disregards your boundaries, that's a red flag. It's not about punishment. It's about recognizing that this person might not be able to meet your needs in a healthy way, and that's where the courage to walk away, if necessary, comes in. Sometimes respecting your boundaries means letting go of people who don't know how to respect you, what it looks like in action. So what does setting boundaries look like in practice? It might look like saying no to requests that don't align with your values or needs. I can't take on that extra project right now. I need to focus on my current responsibilities. Asking for time and space. I need some time to recharge. I'll get back to you once I've had a break. Expressing your feelings. I don't feel comfortable with the way you spoke to me in that meeting. I need to have a more respectful conversation. Walking away when necessary. I'm not willing to engage in this conversation any further because it's not productive. Let's talk later when we can approach it calmly. Setting boundaries is not about being rigid or unkind. It's about being clear, compassionate, and consistent. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. It's a skill that grows with time, and it strengthens your sense of self-worth. Final thoughts. Remember this. Boundaries are an act of love. They are a declaration that you love yourself enough to protect your well-being and your peace. You are worthy of respect. You are worthy of being heard. And you are worthy of living a life where your needs, feelings, and values are honored. So embrace the courage to set those boundaries. Be brave enough to stand up for yourself, even if it feels uncomfortable, because in the end, the peace you create by setting boundaries will empower you to live a life that reflects your deepest values and respects your highest needs. And that is a life worth living. In every corner of life, we encounter drama, whether it's in the form of workplace conflict, family disagreements, or personal relationships that spiral into unnecessary chaos. Drama can feel all consuming, drawing us into conflicts we never asked for and wasting our precious energy on things that don't serve our growth or peace of mind. It's tempting to jump into the fray, to defend ourselves, to prove we're right, or to win the argument. But here's a powerful truth. Engaging in the drama is rarely the solution. Instead, it often feeds the problem, prolongs the discomfort, and drains us of our emotional resources. What does it mean to not engage in the drama? It means resisting the urge to get pulled into unnecessary conflict. It means choosing peace over chaos and taking the high road even when it's hard. It's not about avoiding difficult conversations, but rather about recognizing when a situation is more about ego, emotion, or manipulation than about resolving anything meaningful. The drama is not your responsibility. The first step in not engaging in drama is recognizing that the drama is not yours to own. Drama often stems from other people's insecurities, frustrations, or need for validation. It can be a manifestation of their unresolved issues, their desire to provoke, or their tendency to create conflict for reasons that have nothing to do with you. In these moments, it's crucial to remind yourself that you do not have to take on someone else's emotional baggage. When we engage in drama, we are often unknowingly taking responsibility for someone else's turmoil. We get pulled into their world of negativity and emotion, even though we have no control over it. And here's the problem. The more we get involved, the more we allow their issues to shape our mood, our decisions, and our energy. It's like being a passenger in a car that's headed in a direction we never signed up for. Choosing to rise above. When drama arises, one of the most powerful decisions you can make is to choose not to engage. This isn't about running away from conflict. It's about recognizing that engaging in the conflict only serves to perpetuate it. You don't need to match someone's emotional intensity to validate your point or defend your position. You are allowed to stand firm in your truth without needing to make others believe it. Choosing not to engage in the drama means taking a step back, staying grounded, and not reacting impulsively. It's about giving yourself the space to choose how you respond rather than being dragged into a knee-jerk reaction. This may look like remaining calm when someone tries to provoke you. Rather than reacting with anger or defensiveness, you remain composed and choose to respond thoughtfully. This can be as simple as taking a deep breath, pausing, and choosing to respond later when you're not emotionally charged. Setting the tone for a more constructive conversation. When someone is speaking from a place of drama, instead of joining them in their emotional frenzy, you can calmly say, "I hear that you're upset. Let's take a moment and come back to this when we can talk more productively." Walking away from toxic environments. If the drama becomes too intense and you feel that nothing productive can come from continuing the interaction, it's okay to remove yourself from the situation. Not every confrontation is worth having, and not every relationship is worth preserving if it keeps bringing you chaos. Drama feeds on your reaction. Drama has a unique way of feeding on our emotional responses. The more we react to it, the more we give it power. If someone insults us, challenges our beliefs, or accuses us of something, the instinctive reaction is often to defend ourselves, to argue back, or to react with emotion. However, when we meet drama with more drama, we create a never-ending cycle of negativity. Think about it like a fire. The more fuel you throw onto it, the bigger and more intense it gets. But if you remove the fuel, the emotional response, the fire eventually burns out. Drama works the same way. By choosing to not engage, you take away the fuel that keeps it alive. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you or ignore your feelings. It means you choose to engage with people and situations in a way that preserves your peace and doesn't escalate the conflict. You are in control of your emotional state. And by refusing to be drawn into the drama, you prevent it from ruling your reactions. One of the most important aspects of not engaging in drama is that it protects your peace. Life can be stressful enough without the added weight of unnecessary conflicts, so why invite more negativity into your life? Engaging in drama not only drains your emotional resources, but also disturbs your inner peace. You may find yourself thinking about the argument long after it's over, reliving the emotions and feeling agitated. By refusing to engage in drama, you prioritize your peace of mind. You choose not to let external circumstances dictate how you feel. In a world that often feels chaotic, and filled with external pressures, protecting your inner peace is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. The power of silence and calm responses. Sometimes the most powerful response to drama is silence. When someone is looking for a fight, trying to pull you into their emotional turmoil, saying nothing can be incredibly disarming. Silence can be a boundary, a statement that you are not going to participate in the chaos. Another powerful tool is the use of calm, measured responses. Instead of matching someone's heightened emotions, you can calmly express your thoughts without being reactive. For example, if someone is attacking you, you can say, "I understand that you're upset. Let's talk about this when we're both in a place to have a calm discussion." Your calmness can sometimes be the best tool for de-escalating drama. People who thrive on conflict often need someone to engage in order for their drama to continue. If they don't get the reaction they're looking for, they may be less likely to continue the negative behavior. Choosing your battles. Not all drama needs to be confronted. Sometimes the best way to handle it is to decide that it's not worth your time or energy. Choosing your battles means understanding that you don't need to engage in every conflict that arises. If a situation doesn't align with your values, doesn't serve your personal growth, or doesn't require your attention, then it's okay to simply let it go. Every argument doesn't need to be won, and every misunderstanding doesn't need to be resolved. Sometimes peace comes from walking away and allowing others to resolve their own issues. It's about knowing that your emotional and mental energy is precious, and it's better spent on things that truly matter. Final thoughts. In the end, not engaging in the drama is an act of strength, not weakness. It requires self-restraint, emotional intelligence, and the wisdom to know when to walk away. It's not about avoiding conflict, it's about choosing to engage in conflict in a way that preserves your peace, your energy, and your sense of self. When you stop feeding the drama, you create space for deeper connections, calmer conversations, and a life filled with less chaos and more clarity. Remember, you can't control other people's actions or emotions, but you can always control how you respond. And in choosing to disengage from the drama, you choose a life of greater peace, resilience, and emotional freedom. One of the most challenging aspects of dealing with disrespect is the temptation to attack the person behind the behavior. When we feel hurt, insulted, or overlooked, it's natural to want to retaliate or confront the person responsible, often in ways that reflect our emotional reactions. However, responding in this manner can escalate the situation, damage relationships, and make resolution more difficult. A much more effective and compassionate approach is to address the behavior, not the person. When we focus on the behavior, we separate the action from the individual. This distinction allows us to maintain our own integrity while communicating our feelings clearly and respectfully. By addressing the behavior, we are giving the person an opportunity to change without attacking their character or worth. It's important to remember that people are capable of making mistakes, and behavior doesn't define who they are as a whole. Why it's important to focus on the behavior. When we address someone's behavior rather than their character, we open the door for a more productive conversation. Criticizing someone's character or making sweeping judgments about them can trigger defensiveness and make it harder for them to hear the concerns you're raising. But when you focus on the behavior, you're simply highlighting the specific actions that have hurt or disrespected you, rather than attacking the person's integrity or intentions. For example, if someone interrupts you constantly during a conversation, it may feel disrespectful. If you say, "You always interrupt me and you never listen," the other person is likely to become defensive, feeling attacked. But if you say, I feel frustrated when I'm interrupted because it prevents me from sharing my thoughts, you're speaking to how their behavior impacts you. This makes the conversation less about blame and more about finding a solution. By addressing the behavior, you take the focus off judgment and keep the conversation solution-oriented. You're simply asking for a change in action rather than labeling the person as disrespectful or thoughtless. This approach allows room for understanding, growth, and positive change. Empathy and understanding. Addressing the behavior also allows us to approach the situation with empathy. Sometimes people engage in hurtful or disrespectful behavior not out of malice, but due to their own struggles, insecurities, or misunderstandings. By focusing on the behavior rather than the person, we make it possible to understand the root causes behind their actions. This doesn't mean excusing poor behavior, but rather seeing the situation as an opportunity for communication and resolution rather than conflict. For instance, if someone snaps at you during a stressful meeting, instead of reacting with anger, try considering what might be causing their frustration. Perhaps they're dealing with a high-pressure project or struggling with personal stress. Addressing the behavior rather than attacking them allows for the possibility of opening up a dialogue about what's really going on. Empathy doesn't mean you accept mistreatment. It means you acknowledge the complexity of the person in front of you and approach the situation with understanding. This type of mindset can help defuse tension and create an opportunity for more compassionate communication. How to address the behavior effectively. So, how can we address behavior in a way that is constructive, respectful, and likely to lead to positive outcomes? Here are a few key strategies. Use I statements. Rather than saying, you always ignore my ideas, which can sound accusatory, frame your feedback using I statements. I feel unheard when my ideas are dismissed. This keeps the focus on your feelings and the impact of the behavior rather than attacking the person. I statements are non-confrontational and focus on how the behavior affects you, which makes it easier for the other person to understand your perspective without feeling attacked or blamed. Be specific and focused. When addressing behavior, be specific about what exactly you're addressing. Avoid generalizing or making broad statements. For example, instead of saying, you're always rude, say, when you cut me off in meetings, it feels disrespectful. By focusing on specific actions, you provide clarity on what needs to change, and the person has a better understanding of how to improve. The more specific you are, the easier it is for the other person to identify the behavior you're referring to and make adjustments moving forward. Vague criticisms often leave room for confusion or defensiveness, so clear communication is key. Be calm and direct. It's important to communicate your feelings calmly and directly. Avoid using sarcasm or passive-aggressive remarks, as these can escalate the situation and prevent resolution. Calmness allows you to stay in control of the conversation, while being direct ensures that your message is clear. For example, if someone raises their voice during a discussion, instead of responding by shouting back, you can say, I'm finding it difficult to engage when the conversation becomes heated. Can we try to speak to each other calmly? By modeling the behavior you'd like to see, you encourage the other person to follow suit. Be open to dialogue. Addressing the behavior is not about issuing a command or a one-sided monologue. It's about opening the door for a constructive conversation. After expressing your feelings, allow the other person to share their side. They may not have realized how their behavior affected you, or they may have their own feelings to express. By creating a space for dialogue, you encourage mutual respect and understanding. So, what is our definition of energy balance? An example could be, I felt disrespected when you canceled our plans at the last minute. I understand things come up, but in the future, can we make sure to communicate sooner? After sharing your feelings, give the person the chance to respond. This creates a two-way conversation rather than a one-sided critique. When we face difficulties with people, especially those who don't respect us, it's easy to get caught up in the moment, in the hurt, or in the frustration. We may feel compelled to react quickly, defend ourselves, or even sever ties completely. However, before taking any action, it's crucial to reflect on the relationship as a whole. This reflection helps us determine whether the current conflict is a temporary challenge or a deeper, ongoing issue that requires us to reassess the dynamics of the relationship. What do I value in this relationship? Consider what's important to you in this relationship. What do you appreciate about the person and the connection you share? Are the positive aspects of the relationship worth preserving, or are the negative behaviors outweighing the value you place on it? Reflecting on the things you value helps you decide whether this relationship still aligns with your personal needs, goals, and well-being. Is there room for growth and change? Can this relationship be improved, or is the behavior likely to continue? People can change, but it requires awareness, willingness, and effort. Reflecting on whether the other person has shown any desire or capacity to change is important. If they continue to disrespect you despite your attempts to set boundaries, communicate openly, or express your feelings, it may be a sign that the relationship is not a healthy one. However, if there's potential for growth, reflection can help guide you in how to navigate the path forward. No one else defines your worth. You are in charge of how you respond, how you choose to protect yourself, and how you decide to move forward. Relationships, whether personal, professional, or social, require respect, empathy, and honesty. By choosing to handle disrespect thoughtfully, you give yourself the space to heal, to grow, and to create healthier connections with others. It may not always be easy, but as you practice these principles, you'll find that you become more resilient, more self-assured, and more empowered in every interaction. You deserve to be treated with respect, and you have the strength to ensure that others honor your boundaries and your worth. So let's commit to handling disrespect with intention. Let's honor ourselves enough to stand firm in our truth, to set clear boundaries, and to prioritize our peace.
Thank you.